Hello, welcome to the PaynePoints of Interest podcast. We want to tell the stories of people, their businesses, and the journey that they are on. Our purpose is to gather a new perspective on starting, growing, maturing, and maintaining businesses of all sizes. So grab that cup of coffee, sit back, and join us as we start this conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Sarah Harbuck, and with me today, co-hosting, is the producer, Megan Harbuck. Kristen is still out on maternity leave. Our guest today is Yoon Bae from Eve Pink. Hello, Yoon. How are you?
Hi everyone.
I'm so
I'm
glad
good.
you took the time out of your schedule today to join us. Thank you so much.
We know you're super busy because the K-pop boom in America is absolutely insane. So I'm sure that you're always packing orders or working at the store right now.
Yes. But I'm very honored to be here. So thank you for having me here today.
Well, on that note, why don't you kind of give us like a brief bio and sort of
A rundown of your life so far.
rundown of your life, but also kind of how you got into this industry, and go from there. So take it
Yes.
away, Yoon.
So yes, my name is Yoon, and I'm currently running K-pop stores called Eve Pink, an online shop based in Houston area.
Awesome.
I was never that of the person that I thought I'm gonna run my own business because I actually graduated accounting degree from University of Houston.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. As an immigrant and growing up in a typical Asian household, I wanted to have a stable career. So
Sure,
with the
sure.
degree, right? Yeah, so I took that degree and took a job at a corporate accounting firm. And working there for several years taught me a lot of life lessons, and I had such a great experience. But having a desk job was not something that I was passionate about.
Sure.
Yeah, and then with the retail business background of my parents at the time, they have assigned a new space, and they knew I was kind of very confused on my career wise and not, stable in what I want to do. So they offered me to run it with a new business plan.
Awesome.
And yeah,
I
so
mean, that was
and
great that they were supportive.
yeah, they were very supportive. But honestly, it was not easy to come up with an idea right away.
Sure.
So, but I always knew that I wanted to try something out of ordinary, like different, and wanted to create my own brand that is unique and something that I love. Because working as an accountant was such a great professional job, but I wasn't really passionate about, and I started to feel the like limited growth, and because of same task was given all the time, I felt start boring about it and like no passion towards it. So I started to question myself a lot at the time, like what is this something that I love. And I became more aware of my daily routine and noticed myself that whatever I do, I was always listening to the K-pop.
That's
And
awesome.
I was like always into the music. Like K-pop I was always jamming on it. I was always listening to it. And growing up as a Korean American, K-pop was one of my biggest things that I loved about my culture. And I'm still a big fan of Big Bang. Hopefully Megan knows who they are.
Of course I know who Big Bang is. I remember being
Yes.
11 years old and hearing Bang 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 for the first time. So of
Yes.
course I know
Yes.
who they are.
Yeah, so they're like my number one, and I think they're the king of the K-pop in my perspective.
That's
So,
great.
so whenever they release new album or merchandise, I was like eager to get access to it, which I'm sure that was all the K-pop fans' problem back then, when the struggle was real to get anything unless you're in Korea. And there was nothing available locally. So I was like, huh, why don't I solve this problem for the fans who isn't based in America, including myself? You know
That's
that
awesome.
Yeah, I was like, why not? Why can't I be the one who can bring this in?
Talk
Because
about
I'm
filling a
all,
need where there was one.
yes, yes. So this problem I was having as a K-pop fan motivated me to do more research. And then same year, I had a chance to attend the Korean festival that held in Houston that year, and that experience was mind blowing. So there were more people who were not Korean, and they all loved about Korean culture and especially K-pop. Um, that experience I had at the K-Fest was the final information I received by seeing the demand of K-pop outside of Koreans, and then the huge fan base in Texas. Because because I'm Korean, of course I'm gonna like my K-pop and I love that culture, but I never really expect to see other who's not Koreans love this culture. It was just a shocking moment for me to see that.
What do you think is
Mhm.
what is so attractive about K-pop culture to say non-Koreans? What do you think contributes to that?
I think it's because K-pop is consisted of a lot of different genre of the music, such as like electronic, hip hop, pop, rock, and R&B.
Okay.
There's so many to choose, but and also the idols. I think the idol is bring a lot of attention to like teenagers and young adults to kind of follow the trends together. And one thing about K-pop and the K-pop idols are so popular among the a lot of people is that they communicate really well with the fans.
Why don't real
Yeah.
quickly before we go any further for anybody who might be listening who doesn't know what K-pop is, assuming that there's somebody who doesn't know who that is, what that is in pop culture today,
Yeah,
but
they're like, what are
there
you
might be
talking
a few
about?
people out there that don't know. So
Well,
why
what
don't
did you
you,
say it
yeah,
again?
why don't you go ahead and like kind of explain to everybody what K-pop
Yes,
actually is?
yes, of course. K-pop is a Korean pop or Korean popular music, which is a musical consisting of electronic, hip hop, pop, rock, and R&B music originating in South Korea. And in
Good deal.
addition to music, K-pop has grown into a popular subculture among teenagers and young adults throughout the world, and resulting in widespread interest in the fashion and style of Korean idol groups and singers. Yes,
Perfect. That's
that's
a great
That's
definition.
a great explanation of what K-pop is.
yes, thank you. Yeah, so as a business perspective, there was a demand, and I saw an opportunity to serve this business to a larger demographic outside of Koreans. Also, since I knew the Korean culture very well and being fluent in Korean, I was more capable to have access into this than anybody else. So those were good reasons to persuade my parents for the next business. And that's where how all the research began for this business.
What year would you say that was?
It was 5 years ago, so 2015.
When did the business officially begin?
So I started this research around early 2015, and then around winter, so around December, I believe, December 2015, I opened up my store.
That's great. And don't you have two or three locations in Houston right
Yes,
now?
yes, I have two locations in Houston, and I'm also running the online store at the moment.
That's incredible.
Yes.
So when you went to start your business, you know, you said you were taking kind of over your parents' retail store and kind of remarketing it. Was that part of the process here, or did you completely start from scratch?
Started from the scratch.
You started from scratch.
So yeah, so like I said, mentioned before, there was nothing available locally. Like K-pop store, there was nothing in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I did all my research. There was none of these people who were carrying K-pop stuff or anywhere. So even though I had a space, everything was that I had to start something from the ground.
Yeah, there was no one you could really learn from then.
Yeah, no one. So one thing that I did was, there was nothing in Texas for sure. I did my research much as I could, but um, my next step was to visiting is it there was a K-pop stores in LA that time, so I had to make a trip to LA to see how they run their business and the layout out of the stores and what kind of items were available to attract the customers. I had to learn from them to make it better. So that is the one thing that I did because there was a nothing available in locally. I had to go for somewhere else to see how they're doing in different states.
So you totally traveled to another state and
Yes.
went to research. I mean that takes some money to get off the ground, flying
Yeah.
somewhere else and what have you. Did you apply for like a small business loan or a small personal loan, or did you have family members or friends that kind of helped back you
Yeah,
financially?
so honestly, I was trying to get a loan from the bank at first with a
Gotcha.
business plan and then everything. And of course, I was 25 years old. I was young. I was only having a monthly checks all the time. Credit was just okay. They, of course, deny it. They
Right,
deny
right.
it and they wouldn't want to give me any loans. So, yes, I had to get some help from my parents like a loan, but very small interest.
Right.
So
Because
yeah.
don't you love parents for that reason? Their interest rate is a lot
Yes,
cheaper.
yes, yes. And then I try to negotiate with them with the 0% of interest, but they're like, no, I should at least put 1% so you feel they're responsible for it. So I was like, okay, yes,
That's
but
great.
That's parents for you, right? Teaching you how to do it.
yes, yes.
Could you
So
maybe? And I keep forgetting to ask this question of everybody else we interview, but how did you come up with the name Eve Pink? Where does that come from?
so I also thought about that for a long time and wanted to explain really well for our customers because a lot of people ask me, how did you come up with the Eva Pink? Because a lot of K-pop stores name always starts with K-pop or
Mm-hmm.
ends with music, right? But Eva Pink is just literally out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So as I already kind of explained already, my parents had a background of retail business already with them, so I learned a lot from them, and they're the one who kind of lent me the money to start my business and everything. So actually, my parents started a business like containing like Korean health products, Korean ginseng, and they use the same name as Eva Pink. They got it from a professor that they know, and she said there's some good meaning to it of this name, so they kept that name, and they opened a store that's related to the Korean culture at the same time, and
Okay.
it worked out really well. It worked out really, really well. And then now it's time for me to run my business with my store. They kind of wanted me to keep the same name because it's like a lucky charm
Yeah.
to our family. Because that store they opened back in the days definitely brought us like new chance to live in this country. So they really wanted me to use the same name and go on because it's like a lucky charm to our family.
It's a
And
family
that
tradition now.
is a private family tradition now.
And that's kind of a big deal in
Yeah.
the Asian cultures, right? Kind of the good
Yes.
luck charm
The
and
luck
things having good,
charm.
what it
Yeah,
feng
good
shui, I guess.
energy. Yeah, the good energy, good vibe. Those were so important.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it was kind of sound cheesy and somewhat kind of sounds like adult shop.
Yeah, but
But
you got to
yes,
take whatever talisman you need to
yeah.
make some success out of
So
your life. So,
yeah,
Well,
so
also,
I wanted to.
I mean, it's
Def-
incredibly unique as
yeah,
well.
yes.
well, like you
And
pointed
yeah,
out, it doesn't start with K-pop and end with music. It's something different that kind of will stick in someone's mind, you know.
yes,
So,
and every store that has the same name has kind of something related to Korean. So I thought, why not I take this name and
yeah.
start another business with the Korean culture involved in it.
So you said your family immigrated here to the U.S. Um, when starting a business, is there more struggle involved, or more obstacles you have to kind of overcome, being an immigrant in this country and starting a business?
Uh, I would say yes,
Yeah.
especially my parents. Now I speak both Korean and English, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more easier for me to understand a lot of things to
Yeah.
open a business. But for them, it was a definitely very something they had to, had a hard time going through it because all these contracts, anything like tax permits to whatever that's required to have a stores, they have to figure out every single thing and because of a language barrier and all that, they really had a hard time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're here to make a new life. And then they decide not to give up on anything and try their best to do what they have, and yeah, and that's how everything started.
I just find it so incredibly inspiring, and also just awe like struck that people come here from other countries, they don't know the language, they don't know the culture, and then they build this sort of like industry, and all, you know, with all these tremendous obstacles in their way. We interviewed somebody for the podcast a few weeks ago from Bangladesh, and he immigrated to Canada and literally didn't know the language, didn't know anything, just like decided he wanted to have an adventure, and he hopped on a plane and he went to Canada. And you know, he didn't speak English at the time, and it was rough, but like the fortitude that it takes to leave your homeland, go someplace new, and start over. I mean, I feel like there's a certain personality trait that I think certain people have that give them that sort of strength and vitality to go someplace. And I'm sure it's very frustrating to not speak the language, and then you're starting a business and having to figure out all these things with American business owning it's not the same as in Korea, and being able to do that and do it successfully. I just commend you guys for taking that leap and then bringing other cultures to our country and kind of broadening everyone's horizons and teaching us different things that, you know, we might not have otherwise been exposed to. So that's amazing.
And filling holes where there are some, like you said in the beginning, there was no resource for buying K-pop merchandise in Texas before you began your business, to my knowledge at least.
Yes.
That kind of leads into my next question. Did you find that your business struggled in the beginning? Did you have issues with, really advertising or putting yourself out there?
Yes.
Was K-pop big enough to support you at the time? Because I know, late 2015, early 2016, that was like kind of just barely the beginning of K-pop really taking over America.
Yeah. So answer that question, starting a new business was the biggest struggle. I mean, it was not easy to start something from the ground, especially when it's just something that it's out of ordinary, and you just have to take the risk, not knowing if this could be success or fail, right? Like you said, that era, 2015, K-pop was getting big, but it wasn't that big enough yet. But so at the beginning of opening my store, I knew there was a little bit of that demand, but it wasn't easy to promote other than social media. And personally, I was a very shy person and afraid to go up to people. And even right now, I'm a little bit shaking. But I knew I had to overcome that fear to run my own business. So I started off by attending K-pop concert that was happening in town everywhere in Texas. And I was passing out flyers to promote my stores. I wasn't shy at all at that moment. I don't know how I did it. And once I overcame those obstacles, I was like ready to roll. I was ready to do this. So I was always have to on my feet, and then I had to try my best to promote in anywhere I could. I had to involve in like a Facebook page where there's a little bit of K-pop fans communicating together. I had to find the ways to communicate with this small fan base that was available at the time.
That's incredible. That takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to be able to get out of your shell like that. And I want to ask, were you at GOT7 in Houston in 2018?
Yes.
We met there. I was one of the volunteers.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe that we ended up speaking, and so that's actually how you and I met, and how I found out about K-pop, like Eve Pink. That's how I found out about it.
Yes, I've been telling everyone. I was working with Subculture. They're the one who run the GOT7 concert.
They're great. I love everybody at Subculture.
Yes, Subculture is wonderful. And yes, I don't know, this is kind of out of topic, but Subculture, since I met you there, so one way I got into this business also is that so while I was passing out my flyers, right, at the concert, you're not really supposed to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of not right. Yeah, you can't do that. But you know what? I have to promote my store. I can just sit around and do nothing, right? I have to pass out. So while I was doing that, I met with CEO Subculture.
That's Miss
He,
Ellen, right?
he, no, now Ellen, but it was Derek back then.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek, and then he like there was this one Korean guy stood in front of me, and I was like looking at him, and he was like, "You're not supposed to do that," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but
Better to
I'm
ask
just
forgiveness than to ask permission.
yeah, yes, I'm like, I am sorry, but I'm just here to promote my store. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm just here to promote my little store that I opened up. And I had little flyers, and then he looked at it, right? And then he was like, this girl is a little bit different than these people who are just trying to sell their, fake merchandise.
Yeah.
Actually, she's here to promote her store. So I guess Derek kind of looked at it in a good way, so he let me pass out the flyers, and then later on he got in contact with me, and then since he knew I had a experience with selling items well at the stores and handling the inventory, he asked me to follow Subculture to the all the concerts that's happening in the States, so I can be
That's
handle
incredible.
yeah, so at 2018, that GOT7 concert, I was there for working with them by helping them selling the merchandise, control the inventory. Yeah, and yeah, through that, I learned a lot more about K-pop and how much it's influencing all these K-pop fans and what are their needs. Yeah, it was incredible experience.
So
I never had.
networking with a business that has direct contact with a lot of these bands
Yes,
was really the opening point for you.
yes.
Good
And
deal.
from my experience working with Subculture and attending their events, they are incredible people. Like you lived my dream that year. Maybe put a good word in for us. We would love to have them on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I will.
Thank
Yes, they
you.
will love to do this. Yes, and they're
Um,
great. They're like the number one promoter. I don't know why I'm promoting them now, but yes, they're the number one promoter in the States.
I mean, I think that you both go hand in hand. I mean, they're the number one like all over promoter, but Eve Pink I have watched, and I kind of want to get into this a little bit.
Yes.
You guys promote every single concert that comes to Houston and at large in Texas. Because of running your business, have you been able to not just being able to pass out flyers and things, but have you been able to attend concerts because of this? Have you been able to have like special privileges because of your businesses?
Uh, I don't want to say privilege, but
Sure.
yes. So whenever there's a concert going on, or if there's any promoter who wants to promote their artist, I guess they do look up into the places where they can have a words out for the upcoming events.
Okay.
So I guess they could research. They saw our followers on Instagram or Facebook, and and then we work. I used to also work with the subculture. So with the history, they do contact me directly, and kind of ask me to promote their event or any of our concerts. So they do give me free tickets here and there, but I also use that so I can do the giveaways for our customers, so they
Yeah.
can have a chance to go see
Oh,
the
that's
K-pop
clever.
concerts and everything.
That's
Yeah.
clever. Good deal.
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember, I think it was you and your brother sung. I saw y'all
Yes.
at the card concert. That was another
Yes.
place that I ran into you
Oh
at.
my gosh.
I see, you guys are very recognizable, so I see you immediately, and I'm like, oh, Eve Pink's here. Like,
Oh.
One of the things I kind of wanted to address, given the current state of the world and this global pandemic that's really affecting all kinds of businesses in so many different ways, no longer are we allowed to have concerts currently until this thing kind of gets under control. How has that promoted people to spend more money in your store because they can't go to the concerts? What has that done for your business? Is it good, bad, a mix of both?
Uh, it could be good and bad, because whenever there's a concert in Houston, we attracted a lot of like people who's out of town, who's not just based in Houston.
Right.
So we used to have a lot of foot traffic who's not live in Houston or outside of Texas, used to come and visit our stores a lot. And then especially in summertime, right?
Sure.
And now, since that has been stopped, we're only currently focusing on our local customers, which we love, and we always appreciate their support. But thankfully, beginning of this year, we made a transition to online store.
Yes.
So now, retail, there's a lot of ups and downs for now because a lot of people are very cautious of coming out and everything.
Sure.
But thankfully, because we had an online shop open, we got to manage a lot of service to our customers in a safe way. And we got to also attract a lot of customer that's outside of Texas. So
I
yeah,
can say personally that the online shop has been a lifesaver for not only me, but my friends. I have a lot of people who've been able to ask, like, I want to buy this album, but like I don't know where to get it,
mhm,
that's gonna be legit. And so
yes,
your online shop has seriously, I think it's a game changer for sure.
oh yes,
Well, and
definitely.
how fortuitous for you guys to have done that at the beginning of the year before this all kind of kicked off and to have that in
Yeah,
place.
it was
That
a
was
good
a big thing
timing.
that we noticed with the businesses we own is that we didn't really have an online presence during the whole shutdown, and it really hurt us in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. And so we have gone about trying to rectify that,
right.
after the fact, definitely. So yeah, I know that it's really hard for a lot of businesses. If you can have an online presence, it's
Mhm.
definitely going to help out.
Yes, yes.
Um, have you guys done more social media reach out this way because it's safer and not in person, or have you changed your tactic in terms of advertising in any way?
No, advertisement has been kind of staying the same, but we always kind of sometimes make a post where we're saying, oh, we're always follow the procedures and following all the rules that we have to follow, providing a clean, sanitized environment for the staff and the customers. We're kind of constantly posting a post where kind of sharing our customers,
Yeah.
how we maintain the stores. But we don't want to make a post where like make sure to like check us out, make sure to come stop by, kind of forcing them. We didn't want to force them
Yeah.
by coming out, but we wanted to make sure we assure them it's okay. We're trying our best to keep the stores clean and organized much as we can.
Sure.
Yeah, but I try to do a lot of fun things on social media, such as like giveaways or any fun videos I could upload, and trying to be more entertained and bring the happy vibe to the people who's this is a bad time.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
definitely needed now more than ever to give people some hope and some joy in
yeah,
their life
yeah.
and all that. So sure.
On the topic of moving a little bit closer to doing more online business and things, I have largely noticed with K-pop stores in America how there have been extreme delays. Even some albums that came out months ago, people still haven't received from K-pop
Oh
stores
yeah,
that I won't name. And
yeah.
you guys have really kept on top of things. You guys are
Yes,
actually probably the fastest and still like you have that disclaimer on your shop, of course. Oh, there may be some delays. But I
yes.
have noticed out of all of the K pop stores that I follow on Instagram or whatever, that you guys are really keeping up with things. So I wanted
Yeah.
to ask your perspective. Has there really been a huge delay? Have you had any big issues?
Oh yes. So the main carrier for shipping that we use, everything is getting delayed. So it used to, whenever it released Monday in Korea, we would get it right away after that day. So we'll get it
Wow.
on Tuesday. That was our regular time period of how fast we can get our shipment after release from Korea because the fans are eager to get it as soon as possible when it released.
For sure.
Yeah, but now it's been getting delayed like 2, 3 days. It used to be only one night, but now it's getting delayed like 2, 3 days, and there's a lot of custom issues. So
Okay.
I so this is an international shipment, so every shipment has to go through a customs, right? And the process of customs are been taking forever to release my shipments. So that has been a really big issue, but one good thing is, so we are always making sure the people who's working at our warehouse for the online, we're also always precautions are sanitizing, keep clean, keep the main social distance, and always wear a mask while we're working. But Megan, I'm sure remember my brother Sang. So
Yes.
it's mainly me and Sang who's working for in the warehouse whenever the staff is out or we work 24/7 to so make sure we can ship it out everything. Just two of us.
That's
So that's why it works.
You guys
because
are just incredible. Like, seriously, y'all. I think our values are very similar. When I'm volunteering at K-pop concerts, my focus is not on the idols because they have their people, they have their team.
yes.
My focus, and it seems like your focus, your main focus, is making sure the fans are happy and they get what they have ordered as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And I don't
Yeah.
think that, not to shade anybody, but I don't know if that's necessarily everyone's first priority. You guys
Oh yeah.
right
Yeah.
now is, we want to make the fans happy and we want to make sure our employees are healthy. And that's just incredible to me. Your energy is so good and so light.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if this is a controversial question, but would you be willing to share some of your favorite K-pop bands and your favorite merchandise that you carry in your store?
Oh yes. Like I said before, my number one is Big Bang.
Okay.
That's like unresistant. I can't change that even. And Big Bang, I have every album starting from their first one, and then very very old albums, and I also have their light sticks and T-shirts and everything. Yes.
So you're hoping for a Big Bang comeback this year?
Yes, I really wish, but it's not gonna happen because of one person or two person in the groups. But I really hope maybe in 10 years everyone is happy, and I really want to see them come back, even though they could be a little old by that time.
Well, you know, Epic High and Rain, they're
Yeah,
still promoting, and they're in their 40s.
Look at Rain. He is making a new history in Korea right now.
Oh, absolutely love Rain.
He's almost 40, but he's totally making new history.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I really wish my Big Bang could do the same thing.
Well, is there anybody in the second spot in terms of who you love that's still actively doing music?
Of course, BTS.
Okay.
BTS, NCT 17. You know, it's really hard to pick one.
Yeah.
You know, their musics are so incredible good. Their dance performance is top notch. You know, like at some point I felt like as a fan, it's really hard to make just one person or one group to like. You know,
Oh, I totally
really
get that.
yeah, I should really appreciate all the music they create, and I should really appreciate every single one of them.
Good deal.
That's how I see it.
I mean, that's a fair answer. Besides carrying the actual albums of these bands and groups, what is some of the favorite merchandise that you guys carry that you know, whenever you would go to a store, that's the first thing you would buy? Save the album, obviously everybody wants the albums, but
Yes.
outside of that, what's your favorite thing?
Light sticks.
Light sticks?
Light sticks. Light stick is the hardest one thing that we could get sometimes, and then those are kind of rare. It's really hard to get it sometimes when it's out of stock. Once they stop making it or they run out of it, it's really hard to get it. So
Now people listening, light sticks, they think maybe those like glow in the dark snap
right.
ones. That's not what you're talking about, right? Because
Yes.
I have
Yes,
two
I'm
daughters that
sorry,
are big
yeah.
into K-pop, so I know what a light stick is. But somebody listening who's not familiar, can you go ahead and explain what that is?
Yes, of course, yes. So light stick is every groups of K-pops or singers, they have this light stick that represent their colors or their symbols. So whenever we go to concerts or attend their events, everyone have that light stick to represent the idols and the singers they love.
It's like a sea of lights out
Yeah,
there.
it's
I've
like
seen
a sea of
videos.
lights. Yes.
And like I know with BTS, they have this thing where it syncs up with their music, and
Yes.
it'll blink, you know, at certain colors to the
Yes.
beat of the music and things like that. So
Yes.
this is a way more sophisticated light stick than what
Yeah.
probably people assume whenever
Very
they first said.
high-tech one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but first when the kids were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna buy these like expensive light sticks," and I'm thinking the crack glow in the dark ones. Like what?
Right.
So-
You're spending this much for this light stick?
yeah, that's like
But-
that seems crazy. But then when I saw what it
Yeah.
did, I was like, "Oh, I get it."
Yes. There you go. Yay.
Yeah, light sticks do seem to be like the most fun thing.
And then it's expensive, but it's one of the way for the fans to kind of
Interact.
show and interact with other fans together. It kind
Yeah.
of brings them into one. You know, if
Yeah.
they do attend the concert, it lights up as the music goes on. You know, it kind of unites them in a way. The music
Yeah.
unites them, and the light stick unites them as a one fan. Yeah, it's kind of incredible culture.
I think so too. I want to ask, what have been some of your biggest achievements or successes in running your business? Like, what's the best part of your job, essentially?
The fun part of my job is that I can listen all my favorite K-pop songs while working.
That's great, obviously.
I can listen whatever I want. And when the new album arrives at our warehouse, I am the first person who can open, touch it, and see the physical album, which is so exciting and thrilling. Yeah.
I mean, you're living every K-pop fan's dream, of course.
Yes, yes, I am. But also the biggest achievements as a businesswoman, opening a K-pop store while this trend of music was still growing in the States. I took a risk, not knowing if this could work or not. But I was confident enough to make an effort and believe this business will be successful. And now, with the accomplishments of my business, it encouraged other stores to open, which I'm actually proud of to see how far the K-pop community has grown in Texas.
Me too, same.
Yes, and being the first K-pop store in Houston was a great title to have. But now, with all the competition, it is my goal to become the best K-pop store in Texas and throughout the states.
I think that in my opinion, you guys have already achieved that, and I think that for the other EVs, like you
Yes.
guys are. And by the way, for the listeners, EVs are the Eve Pink fans. I think other EVs would agree with me that you guys are the fastest and the most caring and the most communicative of any store in America, at least from my experience as a K-pop fan. So, I mean, on behalf of K-pop fans in Texas, thank you for the work that you do.
Okay. Thank you.
With the rodeo, the Houston rodeo this year, we had a historical moment. NCT 127 from SM
Yes.
Entertainment came and performed, and they were the first K-pop group in history to do so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that a big boom for your business?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a very big boom, and then I noticed because of the rodeo, a lot of people learned more about K-pop. They're like, "What is NCT? Like, why K-pop and rodeo? It doesn't link, you know. K-pop doesn't really match with rodeo." I saw a lot of negative comments at first when they announced it, but after a lot of video has been updated and people saw how they perform and everything, I started to notice there's more people who likes K-pop now because of that rodeo opened the door for many other people who wasn't familiar with K-pop. So I think it was such a great experience, and the 4-hour stores too, because a lot of people came in town for rodeo.
And
So,
did they end up coming to your store after the rodeo to buy
yes,
albums?
like before and after. Yeah.
I actually I had friends who were like, how do I get the NCT light stick? And so I ended up, I think, messaging the page like, reserve one
Yeah.
for me, please.
Yes,
Have you
yes.
noticed in the past couple years with the big K-pop boom, what year would you say that happened? Because I would say that it was probably 2018 with the release of BTS's Map of the Soul Persona. But you may,
Yeah.
as a businesswoman, have a different perspective on when there was a huge spike in popularity and spike in
Uh-huh.
sales, of course.
Yeah. So 2015 when I opened, there was only few groups of people who liked K-pop. You know, my store was very specialized for its targeted groups. It was not really for everyone.
Sure.
But me more going towards 2016, I started to notice it was growing already. It was a growing trend, but around 2016, I started growing more with the BTS. And then I think, like you said, 2018, it's 2017 or 2018 is where it became insane, uncontrollable trend that's been loved by all these people.
I think it's absolutely incredible because it not only brings more diversity into America,
Yeah.
but it also helps, it directly helps businesses like you, which I just find to be the most awesome thing.
Thank you.
Well, let me see what your answer to this question would be.
Yes.
Having run your business for several years, is there something in seeing kind of the popularity grow here in the US? Because, a few years ago, I had no idea what this was until my kids were like, oh, K-pop. And then I was like, oh, yeah, so it's like the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, or when they were popular, or back when I was their age,
Yes.
and it was the Backstreet Boys. Not the Backstreet Boys, I'm sorry, the New Kids on the Block. That's really dating me. But, having several years under your belt now, is there something you would do differently, or in going forward with the way the world currently is, something that you want to change, or some things you want to do better, some things you want to do differently? What's your perspective there?
Yeah, since I was very captured in the K-pop experience for customers, I made a choice to expand more into the physical stores.
Yes.
Because people or teenagers or young adults or our customer who loves K-pop, they want to experience that somewhere, somehow, right? So for them to coming into our store is one of the way for them to express the love of K-pop, and they had so much fun at my store. So because of that experience, although I knew opening an online store should have been my next step to move forward, I just decided to expand more into the physical store. So early this year, I made a big decisions quickly to transitions by closing one physical store and move on to the online shop.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great experience for a lot of customers, but expanding too quickly into the physical stores and my multiple stores wasn't a perfect judgment that I should have made. So, so by this process, I learned that in certain cases, you must know how to like lose something to achieve better outcome, and
Yeah.
like to do that, I must act efficiently and making decisions promptly. Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to let go in order to move
Yes.
forward.
Yes. Yeah. It
So.
was kind of sad to closing one stores, but I knew this would bring something better.
Well, I mean,
So
you did the timing of that was impeccable. I mean, I'm sure
yes.
obviously you didn't have any, thought into the future. Well,
Hmm.
the
Oh,
government's going to
this
shut
will all
everything
happen.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact
Uh-huh.
that you did it when you did probably is been a contributing factor to maintaining some, success in sales through this whole process. How I imagine for people having to pivot so quickly, when the government says, hey, we're experiencing a global health crisis, we need to shut everything down for a while, which was totally necessary to do. But, a lot of business owners weren't prepared for that. And
Yeah.
having an online presence definitely, I'm sure, helped you guys. Going forward, I think it's all going to be a learning process for everybody. Like, how do we continue to
Right.
run our
Adopt this
businesses,
different.
yeah, but
Yeah.
live within these new confines. And so I feel like that's a struggle everybody's going to have to live with. And like you said, letting go of some things in order to gain success somewhere else, and that's going to be different for everybody. But you guys did it at a great time, and I'm so happy that
Yeah.
you did, so that you guys could have continued success. Is there any kind of advice that you would give to others who are starting a business, not necessarily like K-pop business, but just a business in general, that you would, if they were to come and ask you, you would dole out this piece of advice, or a piece of advice that was given to you when you were first starting out that you found very helpful?
Um, I think all entrepreneurs should prepare to take the risk and they must put into an action
Yeah.
because when I said to everyone that I know, I'm gonna leave my corporate job and I want to run a K-pop store. And they're like, "What? What are you talking about? What store? No, are you insane? Why are you leaving this good jobs you have? You can have a stable life with this job, but that wasn't something that I wasn't passionate about. I wasn't happy with the job that I had. So, and I did notice a lot of my accounting friends who's, having their dream jobs, they were often telling me their business plans all the time. I think this will be a great idea to run the business like this, but I see them never put into an action.
Yeah.
It's just always all about the plan and it just never happens. So I want to let them know that you need to put into an action if you really want to make this work. And then, but there is one thing that was very helpful for me was that I did my research that there was no K-pop store existing in Texas. I went to K-pop store in different states And also, I made a trip to Korea to understand the latest trend and to have a meeting with vendors and suppliers to build a relationship with them. And so not only do you need to be aware of the risk, you need to take action by not just doing it, but like planning it and doing your research in advance.
That's
You know,
fantastic advice. I mean, so many people. We've had somebody sitting in the chair saying that you can paralyze yourself with overanalyzation and never take any action, and that action part is the crucial part of getting a business off the ground. I mean, yeah, you can do the research and the planning and have all your ducks in a row that way, but if you never actually like do it,
it's never gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. So I think that's fantastic that you put so much work and effort and you took that risk, because it could have gone the complete other way. As it was building, but then it could have fizzled out just as quick as it built. So the fact that it's more intrusive than ever, in our society, in our culture. I mean, I'm hearing these bands that, are big K-pop stars playing on, they're playing on those night talk shows like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and Saturday Night Live and, just all these different super, mainstream TV shows. And so for this industry to sort of break into the mainstream has been phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen anything besides the invasion of the Beatles back in the 60s, a foreign musical group having so much influence in pop culture in America now. So that's fantastic. All right, has there been anything about your business that's taught you about yourself that you didn't know before?
I don't know, how should I say this? So when I used to work at corporate accounting firm, it was also about teamwork, but it was about me surviving at the moment.
Yeah.
I had to be better than everybody else. I have to be smart enough than anybody else. I had to be talented than anybody else. It's like you're in a battle.
Kind of cutthroat.
It's a little, cutthroat, right? But through this running my own business, how it is important for me to be responsible, to take care of my employees, and lead as an example to follow.
Yes.
The worst part is that I only have one body to manage everything, right?
Right.
So, so I was truly grateful for all my staff, like including my brother Sang, my beautiful girls, including Michelle, Daniel, Natalie, Jessica, and many others who continuously work hard to serve our customers and provide a fun and safe place to shop. It's not the work that was making things difficult. It was managing people, managing my staff was most challenging thing that I learned from the process.
I think that's probably the common thread a lot of people have had, where like managing other people is probably the hardest part of running your own business.
Yeah, but but because of them, that's why I'm here today, and I'm very grateful. And it's the people, it's the staff that's my priority, and it's such a big treasure in my business.
And you think you can't really run the businesses without a competent and good staff. So
I might have started the business, but without them, I cannot become where I am now.
You can't maintain the business without the people that you already have.
No. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part of it. People tend to forget. They think that they're an island unto themselves, and it's like, no, you got to work with others.
Yes. No. You might have started this business, but without them, you can't be where you are right now. That's something that I think it's important.
Definitely, for sure. What does the future hold for Eve Pink? What do you see happening in the next year or two?
I love my job, and of course my business. You know what they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Right.
I remember this quote, and guess what? I was listening to other podcasts, and I don't remember his name. He was in the film industry.
Blake Polino?
Yeah, he said the same quote, so I'm like, I wanted to use that quote, and he used it, but I'm going to use it again.
Yeah, but it's definitely, there's a common thread there for sure.
Yeah. It's all small business owner, I guess, kind of sharing the same thoughts. It's more than a job. It is something that I'm passionate about.
It's your lifestyle.
So it's my lifestyle. And it is inspiring to work in the same field of something that I'm so passionate about. And it is thrilling to experience the unlimited growth of myself. And as a K-pop fan myself, it is a dream come true to see how far K-pop has influenced the world, and it is my honor to be a part of this business as well. However, I would like to stay within the K-pop community for as long as I could, but I would also like to venture out and invest in other business.
What kind
Um,
of businesses are you thinking about?
so actually, to put it like, I constantly said something about putting to action. So to put it to action, I actually recently took over a franchise bakery
Oh.
called it's a French Thread Zero inside of the H Mart in Blaylock, where my K-pop store
Oh.
used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bakery, something that I always never thought about. I never thought I was gonna, but I had a chance, and I see much potentials to it. So yeah, I recently took over with my sister, and it is definitely out of my comfort zone. I didn't know anything about baking. I love to eat breads, but I never knew how to bake or anything. I had to start all over from the beginning by entering a new field with like new customers, new staff, new environment. But I'm more than excited for this new challenge, and I want to try my best in every aspect.
That's
But
really cool.
don't get me wrong. I'm gonna stick with Eva Pink forever until I can. That's my number one baby.
Right.
But yeah, it's mainly my sisters who's doing the bakery. I'm just kind of helping them in a side. But yeah, I the one thing that I knew was that if I do not improve myself and growth in my business, I'm gonna still stick in it one way, just same every year. I think it is important for me to look at the other things as well and know kind of how to adopt things into the Eva Pink too. You never know. Maybe after K-pop, there could be anything that's related to the K-pop, could be a next big trend. So I think it's important for me to not just focusing on Eva Pink K-pop store, but always looking at other things. So what I can bring into this pink industry. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, again, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It means a lot to us, and especially me as somebody who very much is passionate about K-pop in the same way that you are. But is there anything that you would like to say directly to the EVs who might be listening, who are continuously supporting you?
Yes, this 5 years journey, it might sound very short, but I put everything into this business, and every day was like a dream come true to me. And not without all this EV support and all the people who loved our shop, including Megan, I won't be here today. You know, that's why when I got offered this interview at first, I was like, It's not only me who did it, it's all the people who we did it together to make this work." So I was like, "Are you sure you want to interview me?" Because I'm still learning every day, and there's a lot more things that I have to overcome and learn to grow. But I just want to tell them that, thank you for supporting me ever since we opened up. And I want to try my best, no matter what happened, to bring all the K-pop like merchandise for you guys every time, and become the best K-pop store in Texas. And, we want to be always be there with all the fans together, make this K-pop community strong, and we can, overcome what's been happening lately. Is very sad and tragic, but through the K-pop, like how we became as a one united. It doesn't matter what color you are. This music brought us all together. So I want to make sure we all remember that, and just be safe. And thank you for loving Eva Pink.
I think that's
And
a
thank you
great
for having me
a
here.
great sentiment. More love, more kindness. That should be the
Yes.
mantra we
That's
all.
what I think that's what we really need right now at this
Yes.
time.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. Well, why don't
Yes.
you, Yoon, tell everybody where they can find you, your website, your social media, how they can contact you guys.
We're our online store is called evapinkshop.com. You can find us 24/7 and shopping there on online shop. And we also have two locations in Houston, one in the Bel Air Chinatown area, and then one at the Katy area to just come shop at any time. And we also have an Instagram, Eva Pink, official Eva Pink. So please find us there, and we're we're excited to meet all these new fans together. And thank you for having me here today.
That's awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for coming on and talking to us. I always love hearing people's stories, like the different experiences they've all had. So we want to thank everybody for listening today. I hope you found today's podcast educational and interesting and something different. We want to tell stories, and we want to hear yours. So send us yours. You can be the next guest on our podcast. You can contact us on our website, www.paynepoints.com, and any of our social media is at PaynePoints. So yeah, check us out. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you the next time.
See you later.
Bye.